Greetings, loyal viewers, and welcome back. And as you can clearly see here, I got my buddy Zach, aka Residing Evil, here to back here for the first time in months to react to something with me. And oh boy, am I not enthusiastic with what we're going to be doing. Because in case you don't know, judging by his YouTube name, he's a guy who absolutely has an almost disturbing fetish for horror. So, because of that, we'll be reacting to a list from Mr. Nightmare, a guy who I reacted to very recently because it's the Halloween season and whatnot. We're reacting to 5 disturbing true swimming pool horror stories. And I'm a person who loves swimming, and you know, there really is nothing worse than when you're the one who's pissed scared of this and you're stuck with some enthusiastic motherfucker. Like, I'm not looking forward to the ways he's gonna torment me through this. More so than I already know that I'm going to be, given how I've reacted to this guy's stuff recently. So, without further ado, let's just get this over with. Sorry about the lighting. I really should have tried to test this a little bit more before we start filming, but no going back now.
I think as he was saying, let's get it on.
Pretty much. That music does not help me in the slightest.
Nope.
No, it does not. Story 1 and 2, Anonymous. Story 3, Jared Capps. And Story 4, Kyle Grin. I'm assuming these are the people who are giving him these sources. Which, that is not a good sign.
It was approaching the end of summer, and my friends and I wanted to do some cool, mischievous things before going back to school. Mischievous. So, we had the genius idea one night to sneak into a nearby community
in the middle of the
pool.
night? That's not good.
It's actually only a couple blocks away. It's right
Especially
smack in the middle of a residential area.
Gotta take the
So
party
instead
the
of sitting
pool,
on a main road or something and actually
not in the middle of the night, no. No.
They're
On
up
a
to
hot day,
something.
the little parking lot would be full and the spot would be bustling. But at 1 in the morning,
Are you freaking mad?
there's obviously a big fence surrounding the whole front entrance, as well as a cage that gets closed up when the place closes. So our best way was to get in through the side. We snuck into the backyard of a neighboring house and hopped the fence over to the pool. It was as easy as that.
Is this
The 4 of us took off our shirts and jumped
a
into the
common
pool.
thing where
Which
they
in
live?
retrospect
People
wasn't
just
smart,
sneak
since
into
any of the
neighbors'
neighbors could have heard the splashes and
If
called
I
the
had to
police.
guess, probably.
But we were dumb high
Because
schoolers.
otherwise, I think the neighbor would have
It was
instantly
very,
noticed
very
someone's
dark
using
within
their
that hall
friggin' pool.
enclosing. This pool had no lights, which is why it closed at sunset. James, Courtney, and Alyssa were on the other side of the pool, as I was just kind of doing my own thing at first, swimming around and getting my face wet.
See, this is why scary stuff
I
happens.
saw Alyssa get
People
out of the pool
do
shortly
people
after and
doing
run
crazy and very
away. I swam
stupid
over to
things
see
like
what was
this.
going on.
I wouldn't.
She was just
I love
going to the
swimming, and
water
I wouldn't
fountain,
do
though.
this for the life of me.
The 3 of us just bopped around in the water for a bit, and eventually we heard Alyssa jump back into the pool from the other side. It was too dark to see much more than her black hair covering her face. But just then we heard Alyssa playfully call something to us as she was walking back to the pool. The 3 of us in the pool looked at each other. I know they were doing the same thing as me, counting heads. There were 3 of us on this side of the pool, and here came Alyssa walking over to our side. So who was that on the other side? Alyssa got in, but the 3 of us were distracted, looking at the head bopping around the water across the pool. James said across the pool, "Who is that?" Not even 2 seconds later, the head went underwater and disappeared from view. We took this time to whisper to each other, mostly things like, what should we do?
I would just get the
security.
fuck out of there.
And should we run?
I wouldn't come back to that
Suddenly
pool.
I felt something grab my leg
No
with
way.
force and tried pulling me down into the water. I kicked, splashed, and yelled for help. James came over to pull me out of the pool, while the girls were already running for it, screaming. It wasn't until I got to the stairs of the pool that the grip on my leg was released and I was free. We hopped the same fence we climbed over to get in and ran all the way back to Alyssa's house. I was convinced that whoever that was a security guard. That is, until they literally tried to pull me under the water. We don't know what to think. There are a few possibilities. Maybe it was just another kid messing with us. Maybe it was a security guard who
I
went
would give a
way
damn
too
who
far.
it was.
Or
Like I
most
said, I am
likely,
not going
he
back
was
to
a
that
dangerous
pool
person
again.
who had ill intents.
Oh, thank God
Maybe
that's
it
over
was
with.
person who lived at the house like, hey, get out of my pool. No, it wasn't.
It was
It
an
was a
ordinary
creep.
day like any
It was
other.
a spook.
85 degrees
How
out,
scary are you
family
going to
getting
make
ready to jump in the pool.
a pool story that
I was
happened
looking
in
for my
daylight,
6-year-old
in
brother
broad
so I could
daylight?
help him into the pool, but I thought
You
I'd
really
just
gonna
wait
ask
for
that
him in the
question?
pool instead.
You really gonna ask
My
that
parents
question?
just
I
went
don't
outside
know.
while I got ready to jump in the
I'm
pool.
shaking in my
But I
legs
didn't,
right now.
You're
because I
gonna
saw
pay
something
for
dark
it.
sitting at the bottom of the pool. It took me a few
Quit shaking
seconds
your
to
legs.
realize it was
I'm
my
s-
little 6-year-old brother at the
I know
bottom
you're
of the pool.
scared.
Oh God, no! Not that
It
music.
took my
No,
young brain
no.
a few moments to realize he wasn't playing around. I screamed in such a loud and high pitch you would think it was a little girl if you heard it. I remember the feeling
know
of
why
my
that made me
skin
laugh.
crawling as my helpless 8-year-old self didn't know what to do. My parents burst out the back door. My dad dove into the pool and grabbed my little brother from the bottom. It was nothing short of a miracle that my dad managed to resuscitate him, though. Thereon after, we weren't allowed back into the pool unsupervised until we were both at least 10 years old.
Okay, that wasn't as scary as I thought it was gonna be, but it was still kind of fucked. Okay, so what's this next one?
So a little kid just fell in the pool.
I remember waking up from a deep sleep and looking at the clock, seeing it was around 2 in the
God,
morning,
no.
when I heard
We're back to this
splashes
kind
coming
of
from my
scenario
pool
again.
in the backyard. My bedroom window didn't have a view of the pool, so I had to run downstairs to the den to get a view. And let me tell you, I was freaking out on my way down there, especially given that I live alone.
I would
The
never
blind
be able
was
to live
shut,
by
but the
myself.
windows were open, and I could still hear a little splashing coming from the pool. I had to be quiet opening the blinds, otherwise I risked exposing myself. I lifted the blinds only enough to get a view of the pool, but the splashing stopped. I waited a few minutes before deciding it was safe to go outside. I walked up to the pool and nearly had a heart attack when I saw a body submerged underwater on the shallow
What
end.
the fuck?
I pulled the body out of the water, hoping it was more than just a body still, but he didn't seem to be breathing. I looked around my yard in a panic, and by an off chance, caught glimpse of somebody standing in my bushes.
Oh, it's a murder story.
I ran back
Yep,
inside of my
it's a
house and
murder.
called 911. The police arrived
You've-
surprisingly quickly and
it's a
followed me to the
murder.
backyard to find nothing but an empty pool. The body was gone, and so was the person standing in my
God
bushes.
Oh God.
Yep.
I think I about peed myself there.
Just don't go investigating things at dark. Just
This
stay
happened
put.
when we were staying in a small country inn. It was a
Oh,
family
God,
trip to
not
some
a
distant
motel.
resort where our extended family would be meeting
Motel
us.
pools.
It was such a long
Those
drive,
are always
however, that we
the
needed to stop for
most
the night.
questionable ones.
The inn was
Tell me
across the
about it.
street from
Motels
some
are
big
always
fruit stand and
questionable.
some crops.
And then you always
Other
wonder-
than that, it was thick forest in every direction.
No, you don't want
There were a
those
couple other
stories.
cars parked
You
in the
don't
parking
wanna
lot,
wander the
so we
stories.
weren't
The only
the
motel
ones.
I'd ever want to visit is Neptune's
You
Inn
just-
from a
We
Goofy
arrived there
movie.
after
You
eating
remember
dinner
that?
at some
I
small
know that
diner,
one.
so the
But
day
you
was
know, the
basically
thing about a
over.
motel pool
The
is
sun had set.
What?
You know
but
that
it was
pool's
still
been
early,
through
and
some
we
shit.
didn't know what to do.
Literally or figuratively?
We were surprisingly happy.
Oh
There
God.
was no one around to stop us, so
I
as
know
far as we
figuratively
knew,
it
it was
had to have
allowed.
been, but
We kind of just played typical pool games that we played ever since we were little kids, like Shark.
you adults.
We thought it being dark made it more fun, even though it was kind of creepy being surrounded by nothing but forest for miles. For whatever reason,
yeah,
I
and
was
at least that
peering over to
Neptune
the
Inn was in the
woods.
middle of a dry
Don't.
canyon.
There was a guy just standing by a
Don't.
couple trees.
No.
He didn't appear to be
No.
attempting to hide or anything. It was blatantly obvious he was glaring over to us.
I can't do this.
I did a little side head nod
I
to
really
my brother
can't
to
do
let him know
this.
what I saw. He looked over and said, "Jesus Christ."
Oh, you
that's
think?
creepy." The man then walked over to the poolside and took a seat on one of the lounge chairs. He just looked at us and said, "Wonderful night for a swim, huh?"
What?
And then a pretty off-putting chuckle. My brother and I did our little fake polite laughs and said, "Yeah." Meanwhile, all that we were thinking was, "Alright, it's time
Stranger
to get out
danger."
of the pool."
Did
But
these?
I guess we didn't want to make it
Yeah,
obvious that
exactly.
we were leaving because of him.
Have you been
It was
listening
so
all those
painfully
years?
uncomfortable
Stranger
that my
danger.
brother and I
Stranger
didn't even
danger.
speak to each other. Then the man got
Hello.
up, still watching us, and walked over literally to the edge of the pool and just stood there looking down at us. Eventually I asked if he worked with the hotel, and he completely ignored my question. That's when things got really uncomfortable. I whispered to my brother we
Yeah,
should go.
I'd get the fuck out of
As
there
soon
too.
as we started moving towards the ladder, the man started walking fast over to the ladder, so we stopped and stayed in the pool. We played it off like nothing about it was weird, but my heart was racing, and I knew my brother's was too. The pool had stairs on one side as well, but as we tried to make our way over to them,
as my
the
legs
man
are
seemed to
shaking,
inch his
then
way to
yeah,
the
that's
stairs
not a
too.
good sign.
We were trapped in there, not knowing what he was planning.
Yeah, you
By
mother.
some stroke
I'm
of
gonna,
luck,
I'm
my
gonna
dad
kill
appeared
you.
from behind the corner of the building, calling us to come out of the pool.
Sorry,
We both
man.
screamed
Thank
help and
you,
accused
Zach,
the
by
man
the
of
way.
trying to
I
hurt
didn't mean
us.
to.
Our dad, who was much taller than the man,
Yeah,
sized him up,
frickin'
pushed
dick.
him, yelled at him, and threatened to call the police. I remember the man didn't say anything in response. He just walked away slowly as my dad yelled curse words at him. His reaction to our dad alone suggested that he had intentions of doing something wrong, like, God forbid, kidnapping
Oh
us.
god.
Yeah. You avoided a kidnapping there, probably, and probably
Okay,
a
this
lot,
is the end.
lot of other things.
Okay, good. I don't think it's gonna stop. Good.
I'm going to share a very disturbing memory from
Oh,
my
boy.
early years. My name is Daniel. When I was 6, maybe 7 years old, our family
Oh.
lived in New Jersey.
Well, story
Our old
ended.
house was on a very
Yeah.
steep street.
You start your story off
We
in
had
New
the
Jersey,
same
we
next-door
already
neighbor
know
living
shit's
next
gonna
to
go
us for
down.
as long as I was alive.
Oh, he said he was in New Jersey, so that's enough.
One hot day when it was
The
just
only,
my
the
dad
only,
home,
the only
neighbor
thing that
came
could have
over
been
and
worse
introduced
would
himself
probably
to
be
me as
Detroit,
Paul.
Michigan.
He asked my dad if he could
True,
take me to his
true.
pool, and from what I remember, he seemed very genuine and nice. I guess that's why my dad let me go with him. I remember hopping around on the shallow end of his pool, and he swam in the deeper end, watching me the whole time, smiling. He asked me questions like where I go to school, what I do for
I
fun,
saw that.
what shows do I like, and so on. He asked me if I knew how to swim, and I shook my head no. He swam over to me and started lifting my legs and arms, trying to show me how to swim. It didn't really work out, but he said he'd invite me over one night and keep helping me.
Good
Well,
lord.
apparently one night was the next night. I heard splashes coming from the pool next door from my room as I was laying in bed. I opened the window and saw Paul looking up to my window, waving. He called up to my window to come on over with my bathing suit. Excited by the thought of it, I threw on my bathing suit and snuck out the
Okay,
front
I
door.
get that you're like 6 or 7,
It's funny.
but I think
I
even
knew
by
well
that
enough
age,
that
I
what I
would
was
have
doing
known
would
that
go
was a
against
serious
my
red
parents,
flag.
given that I knew to sneak out. That night as we were in the pool together, Paul was extra touchy as he was supposedly showing me how to swim. But at the same time,
I think
I
this
didn't
one's gonna be
realize what was
scary,
going
but in a
on.
very different sense.
I don't like.
Suddenly
where
I
this
heard the
one's
shout of my
going.
dad from
Me
my
neither.
window. And less than half a minute later, my dad was in Paul's backyard, yelling at him, threatening to get a restraining order if he ever came near me again. My parents had me describe what Paul did to me, and I said nothing, because that's truthfully what I believed. They told me to never speak to Paul again,
yeah,
and
those
pretty
are some
soon
logical
started
parents
looking for a
then.
new house. In the meantime, however, one night out of curiosity, I sat up from my bed and looked out the window. There was Paul, standing in his pool, looking up at my window, waving me over once again, but also putting his finger on his lips, meaning to be quiet. I shut the blinds and ignored him, listening to my parents.
Good. Good.
A few nights later, around the same time, there was a knock at the window. Or at least I thought it was a knock at first. It just sounded like a loud thump. Then there was another one. I opened my window and saw Paul down below, in our backyard. He spoke up to me in a soft voice, asking me to sneak down and we'll hang out inside his house. I shut the window and went straight to my parents' room and told them. My mom screamed at my dad to go break Paul's neck. My mom held me in her arms as she got on the phone with the police. Meanwhile, we both heard my dad yelling incomprehensible things outside. Paul was arrested for attempting to lure a child. I don't know much else about what happened though, because the next day, my mom and I stayed with my grandma until we moved to a new house. I never really talk about this with my parents, only because it's very uncomfortable to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's also just a painful memory.
Well,
Nope. Way to end this kind of thing on a very molestation kind of scenario.
yeah.
Oh fuck. And I really
mean,
hope you weren't getting aroused by that, by the way, because if you were, I'm going to take a few steps away from you, because I know you like scary stuff. I know you do.
Here's
and
the thing
there's
about
fine, but
horror is fine when it's all ghosts and ghouls, but then when you add actual horrors that really happen, that's the kind of horror that gets me.
yeah, and that's probably why Mr. Nightmare has so many subs, is the fact that his stories seem so real. I mean, according to the title they are, but whatever. So, yeah, that was fucked. Wasn't as fucked as the last two I did, and him reacting to this with me, especially with all the wisecracks, didn't help. But it was fun to at least have him on board again, and hopefully we'll be able to do this soon enough, because he's been wanting to react to some very similar kind of things that we reacted to early on in this channel, and hopefully we'll be able to do that. So that's about all the time we got. If you liked the video, go ahead and comment, like, and or subscribe. And if you have any suggestions, leave some in the comment section below. And be sure to check out my Patreon account if you got the time. And as always, I'm King Gargantuas. He's residing.
Yeah, and subscribe to Dotaku.
Yeah, and subscribe to Dotaku 101. Is there 101?
Dotaku 101 and Dotaku Plays for interesting videos about anime and video games and Let's Plays.
Sure, do that.
This channel is brought to you by Dotaku Plays.
Story, go subscribe to Dotaku.
Really? Really, bro?
We're not gonna go there.
No. Let's stop. Okay. So
we're gonna nip it at the bud there.
Yeah. So I'm King Gargantuas. He's Residing Evil. He's Dotaku 101, and we'll see you all next time. And I'm gonna kill him. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to me if you want to see more videos like this. Follow me on Twitter at King Gargantuas if you want to know what I'm up to. And if you want to support videos like this, plus the many other ideas that I have in the near future, be sure to support me on patreon.com/KingGargantuas. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you all next time.